Good morning.
Oh my goodness.
It's Monday.
Oh, it
Uh,
is Monday.
It's Monday. Yeah. Hello,
Hello,
everyone.
everybody.
Hey, welcome to God's 411. My
Welcome.
name is Jim,
And I'm Kim.
and I am Kim, and this is Kim. Start your thing.
Oh, I'm going to start my thing.
Yeah. So, anyways, we want to welcome everybody. What we're doing here is we get together and we do some live Q
We
and
get
A. Now, don't
together.
push that.
Push what?
Oh, sorry. So
We
here,
get
stop
together.
that. Oh, she's just so. I don't want to. Okay, there we
I
go.
know.
So what we do is, I'm discombobulated now.
I know. What's wrong with
I'm
you?
sorry. Okay, so what we do
Okay,
is we get
ready?
together. Here we go. We get together. We do some Q and A,
Q&A.
Q and A, and I have a little story, which is kind of fun.
It's kind of a
It's a
fun
really neat
story.
story. Yeah, it's a neat story. You may not know in the Bible, and I think it has a really good message.
It does.
There's Cherry Lips. I saw you, Cherry Lips.
Where?
Well, as I'm answering all the
Oh,
questions,
yeah.
and all the comments, and
Yeah.
I believe that she gave us a Cherry Lips. That
She
she
gave
gives
us
a
some
really
great
nice
comments.
comment, and she
We
says, "When you guys
so
going live?"
appreciate that.
And I says, "We're going live soon." So yeah,
Yeah.
good to see you, Cherry Lips. Yeah, and so also, if you guys really would like to support our channel, you can do so. We have some. Kim makes all these shirts. Okay.
I do.
She makes all these shirts, which are really
I need to
cool.
get busy.
So you can check. There should be some like Teespring down below. You can do it. I'm wearing one. This is God's
It is
Not
not
Dead. So yeah, she made
Thank you
this.
for that close-up fashion show.
So it's really cool. So check it out.
Yeah.
So how's everybody doing?
Oh my goodness. Did you guys have a good weekend?
Yeah, Cherry Lip says great church. They are really good, cool T-shirts.
They're really nice fabric.
They're good fabric. I wear them. I wear them.
And that one is not the tagless. The tagless ones are really nice.
Yeah, they are.
I think you don't have that itchy thing in the back.
Yeah, and Kim
Anyway.
also she can also take requests. So if you guys want to
do.
do a certain T-shirt, she
Yeah.
can do it for you.
Like God is the bomb, or Go Jesus Go, or
Whatever you want to, you
we've
can
had
do.
quite a few different requests. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see how everybody's doing.
Yeah.
My
And
voice
tell
all of
us
a
how
sudden
your
just kind of
weekend was.
pooped out on me. Yeah, how was your weekend? Oh my goodness, my
Your
voice.
country is still in lockdown. Where are you? What country are you in?
Yeah.
Is this from Soraya?
Mm-hmm.
Cool names.
Cool
Good morning
names.
to all of you. Oh my goodness, there's so many checking in. It's good to see everybody. Did you
Yeah.
have a good weekend?
It was, well, yeah. So the deal with Seattle is typically rainy, and we have had probably one of the nicest summers.
I know.
I mean, then we've been here for
We've been lifted up.
yeah. When we moved here about 5 years ago,
Yeah.
it's been like the nicest summer in 5 years in Puyallup.
Washington.
And Washington is known for rain,
Of
so we haven't been on live as much as we want to be
Yeah.
because we know this is not going to last.
In fact,
So we
it's
are
supposed to rain
enjoying
on
the
Friday.
weather. Yeah, we're enjoying the weather, and then as fall kind of comes and the rain comes, we'll be going live more and more. So
Yeah.
if you're new, subscribe. Please subscribe to our channel and do the notifications because there's Kim's shameless attempt on subscribing. Okay, so if you guys do the notifications because we're trying to hit. See, we always go on at 9, and we're gonna try to hit a lot of different people from different countries.
Yeah, because we've had a lot of requests.
Yeah,
for
so-
different time slots.
Right. So we're gonna kind of go on maybe one time at 5 o'clock our time.
Yeah.
And then maybe 1 o'clock our time.
Yeah.
So do the notifications so that you'll know.
When we're going on.
Yeah, when we're going on.
Because it'd
Okay.
be nice to have the regulars kind of join with us, with the new people, and then they can kind of talk amongst themselves.
If they're awake, I mean, they not being
I
awake.
know, right?
Yeah, they may not be awake. Yes. Okay, here we go. There's the crickets. Okay.
Okay, so living water wants to know if we have long sleeves. We do.
Yeah, we do.
The-
Hoodies.
It depends on the shirt, but it's something that I can always add. So if you have a favorite shirt, it's something I can plop in there really easily.
Plop in there.
If it doesn't have one,
Plop in there.
yes. I'm checking to see if we have any questions. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, okay, so you guys, so we'll answer. So what we'll kind of do is we'll just take like a little bit of time and do your questions and
Yeah.
answers if you have. We'll do our best to answer them. People really seem to like that
Thank you.
quite a bit.
We got a lot of questions.
We get a lot of questions, and like I said, we'll do, is holy water real?
That's
Okay.
a good question.
Well, it is real.
That's
Okay,
a
well,
very good
so here's the
question.
deal. That is a tradition in Catholic religion. And from what we're not practicing Catholics.
No, but I was raised Catholic.
She was raised Catholic. So it's a tradition. So what I understand is that the priest would bless the water, right?
Right.
And then it's a tradition when you walk in to dip the water, right? And that's our tradition. Technically, is the water holy? I guess if you believe if a priest can bless the water and make it holy, it is. But to me, when Jesus tore the veil, when God tore the veil, when Jesus died on the cross, you all are the same as the priest. We are all priests. Okay, so I tried to turn off my volume and it didn't work. Anyways, so yeah.
I feel though that just like you said, all of us are priests. I
Yeah.
believe that you can, because we've blessed Bibles before that we've given to people. So I believe that if you believe in Jesus and He's your Savior, you can bless anything that you're giving to somebody that's,
Right, I know a girl that sells T-shirts.
Yeah.
And that whenever she sends out a whole bunch of T-shirts, she will pray over the T-shirts and bless them. So, yeah. That's kind of a good question. See, it's always funny because we always kind of seem to get the same questions over and over again.
Yeah.
Kind of. So it's interesting to see new questions. And I'll be honest, a lot of them, let's see, Playmaker, it's the water itself, it's holy. Yeah, it's a symbolic thing. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a symbolic. That's a good way of putting it, Playmaker. Yeah. We learn a lot. In fact, there's been a couple questions that we're like, what?
Well, our biggest thing is that we want to make sure we're biblically sound. So if there's something that we're kind of like, it could be one way or another, or we're not real sure, we'll go and we'll research it, which is really fun.
Yeah.
Because we learn more.
Or else I won't say that I know it because I don't know everything.
I don't want to get in trouble with the big guy.
I don't want to get in trouble with the big guy. Don't want to be in trouble with the big guy.
Yeah, exactly.
So, do you see any more questions?
I
have a kind of a good question.
You do?
Yeah, and it's kind of goes out to everybody.
Yeah. What is it?
Well, Kim and I were talking like yesterday, and we were saying, and this is for you, so I want your response too. What one event did you see God the strongest in your life? Does that make sense? So what one event could you see God's hand all over it? I mean, I know that you have God work in your life, all the time. You can see little miracles in the day and things like that. But is there like one event that just sticks out in your mind that was like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that was God. I mean, it couldn't have happened. I mean, it's just too perfect.
Right.
So I want to see what you guys say.
Yeah,
we have one.
We do.
Yeah.
We have a couple.
We have a couple. I said there was 2 times in my life that it blew my mind. It really was still amazes me. And I mean, for you not to believe in God after something like this happens, I mean, your heart is hardened.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what to say, but I mean, it's like, wow. Let's see, Maria, I'll tell you in a second. Maria, I love you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see them a bit after it happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true too.
It's true.
You see it in hindsight, and you're like, oh my gosh. And then it's like there's a whole bunch of different events,
right?
That start to come, and you're like, oh well, that's why that happened, and that's why that happened. God had the whole thing, each step.
Yeah, and sometimes you're right. When you're in the middle of it, you're just living it.
Right.
You're just trying to keep up with it, and you're just doing the steps necessary. But like you said, when you step back, you're like, wow, that was insane.
Yeah, that could not have happened.
That could not happen
unless it was God.
So. Let's see any more questions. Let's see.
no matter what you've
You
done.
guys talk among each other. I think it's great you guys talk
Yeah.
among each other. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's awesome.
So the one time that I think we both agree
Yeah.
is, so what had happened is I had an affair, and it was in Boise, so it was a smaller town, relative, not like Seattle.
small.
It's a small town, and we both knew that we needed to get out of Boise
Yeah.
for our health, to us to start over again, for everything.
Yeah.
So I was working at the time at Joann's Fabric as a manager, and so I go to my district manager, and I said,
And you've only been working there.
I-
This is a kicker. Like 2 weeks?
2 weeks maybe.
Maybe.
They
Maybe
don't.
a month. Maybe a month.
Yeah. So I'm a newbie. And typically they would not do this with a newbie, right? So I go to my DM and I said, hey, you know what? If there's anything that ever opens up in the Northwest, and Kim and I loves, Washington
Washington
and
and
Portland.
Oregon.
We love them. And so a week later, he comes up to me and he says, were you really serious about that? And I says, yeah, absolutely. He goes, well, I have a position open in Washington. And I'm like, no way.
No way.
I says, we'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll just take it. We need to get out.
Yeah.
So, in Kim's and I relationship, we were just, I was building trust with her.
Yeah.
And she was just, it was not hard, but we were rebuilding our
I
relationship.
mean, we weren't really together that
No.
long. It was maybe a month that we had just gotten rid of the affair thing and we
Yeah.
were starting a new job, and it was just craziness.
It was crazy. So, long story short, I go to Washington, I start the job, Kim's back in Boise.
Trying to sell the
Trying to
house.
sell the house, but
The house sells in like it was 1 week.
if 1 week,
If 1 week, and for cash.
cash, total
And,
cash.
like, that deal. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Our heads were spinning. So anyways, I mean, it was really neat because I don't think we've ever seen God move so quickly and so powerfully, because he knew we needed to get out of that situation.
Yeah.
And he just, boom. It was just insane.
And it's been the most amazing thing that he's
That was-
done for us as a couple.
Yeah.
Just all kinds of layers to
That
it.
was just, and it just went from
It's
there.
amazing. So Cherry Lips said one time when she was 21 and she was traveling in Israel, it's a bit similar to your story, Jim. Don't want to go into too much
Yeah,
detail.
no, I get it.
I understand that.
Yeah,
But isn't that awesome when God does that?
Yeah.
You're just like, oh my gosh.
yeah. God, and
Yeah.
Cherry says, God saved me from prison. God, yeah, I get that part.
Yeah.
I was selling,
Saved you from prison too.
I know, I was selling some steroids, so
Yeah.
I almost got arrested.
Yeah.
That was back when I was very selfish. Let's see. When,
A little bit. Yeah, Playmaker and Angela Baker are talking. That's nice. It's good to see you guys be a community.
yeah, Bursaby, good to see you. Teddy, I don't, you said eat blood, question mark, question mark. It's really hard for anyone to answer that because I have to read the verse. And then what I do is I back up out of the verse and I go to the chapter. And if I still don't get what's going on, I read the entire, maybe a couple of chapters surrounding it.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, I don't know what they were talking about.
They could have been talking about
Eat blood.
clean and
I know that in the Old Testament, God had set up a bunch of rules, in like Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, to keep his people holy.
Right.
And I believe that eating the blood or drinking the blood of
Right.
the animal was wrong because it was holy.
Right.
So again, I'd have to do a little research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah.
So tell us your story.
Do you want to know my story?
I want to know your story.
Okay, so if you guys have questions, ask them.
Yeah.
And then, so I don't know if you guys know. Oh, you're welcome, Teddy. And like I said, I'd have to go back and look at that because it's so one of the hard things. If you ever have a question, I mean seriously, for everybody, and this is what I was taught. I mean, if you have a question or you have a verse that you don't get, I mean, just back up a little bit.
Yeah.
So a lot of times in the Bible, I mean, they'll have, I guess, sections. So like maybe not the Matthew, so maybe in Matthew 12, they'll have like 5 mini sections
Right.
where they'll give in your Bible, they'll give a headline like Jesus feeds the 5,000.
Right.
And then they'll tell the story of that.
Right.
So if you see a verse you don't get, always try to back up and keep on backing out. So back up and try to go to that little paragraph or what the Bible kind of says, and it might give you a whole deal of like,
Right. It
like
usually
beating
does.
blood, keeping holy, or something like that. And then if you still don't get it, back up and read the whole chapter.
Right.
And if you really don't get it, then back up and read a couple chapters surrounding it, and usually you'll get what's going on.
You get the whole bottle.
You get the whole bottle.
She says it's not Luke, it's Leviticus. So that would
Oh,
make sense,
yeah.
because he's talking about the unclean and clean animals.
Yeah. So if you guys read, and this is really funny, and it seems like we get this question a lot. I mean, Leviticus, I think, is 25 chapters, if I'm correct, of all laws.
Right.
I mean, it is insane. I mean, it's like, so, and basically what God was trying to do in Leviticus is the people were extremely rebellious. They were stiff-necked, they were arrogant, they were proud. And actually, I'm reading that right now.
Right.
And God was trying to set them up to be holy. And you got to realize back then it was different. I mean, like, they worshipped other gods. They sacrificed their children for other gods. They maybe drank blood of other gods.
Right.
And God was trying to protect them and keep them holy. So there's a whole bunch of rules.
Right.
So if you have it's like tattoos. I mean, we got like shaving your beard. And I think some of those principles apply to us today. But back then, I mean, it was before Jesus came.
Right.
Again, I mean, God was trying to develop a relationship and pursue his people. So he was trying to give them rules, laws to keep them holy because they had no rules.
Right. They didn't know.
They didn't have rules. I mean, they went like, I read it. It was like 25 chapters of rules. It's like if your animal gorges another person, which obviously we wouldn't do today.
Right.
You would kill the animal. I mean, it's just insane, the rules. I mean, I'm just trying to think of a couple. I mean, it's like
animals with hooves or something.
well, yeah, certain animals, pork, and then
Right.
I mean, it was just you couldn't eat the hip because of
Right.
Israel, and he wrestled with God. So there's a whole bunch of rules. Anyway, to go on with it.
Okay.
So, anyways, I hope that kind of gives you a good. There's a lot of rules in Leviticus. Oh my goodness, it's insane.
But then Jesus helps us not have all those rules.
Well, yeah, I mean, God, yeah, I mean, Jesus,
Yeah,
he
God,
came in,
I
and
know.
grace and mercy came
Yeah.
in anyway. So,
Yeah.
and really, we were also talking is that if you guys really have not read the Bible, it helps you so much. Even if don't try to study it, just read
Right.
it as a book. And like I'm reading it, and I come to a couple chapters, like Numbers, Leviticus, Numbers, especially Numbers and Deuteronomy, kind of repeat themselves. So I skip over parts because I've already read that in Numbers.
Right.
So they're going over the laws again and all the laws, and I'm like,
Right.
okay, I kind of already read that, so I'll skip over.
Keep going.
But you will totally it will answer so many questions.
Well,
I just can't even.
Well, because you know what I was thinking this morning when I was reading my Bible is that when you first learn something, it could be a game or it could be a job or and somebody's telling you, okay, you got to do this and this and this and this and this and this, and you're like, oh my gosh, and it's just so confusing because you have so many things that you have to do.
Right.
But then when you start doing them, they start coming into line, and then you're like, oh, well, this is a piece of cake, and it makes sense. It's not so jumbled in your head. That's what it's like in the Bible.
Yeah.
If you read a piece here and a piece there, and you
Oh,
hear
it
this
doesn't make
story, and
sense.
hear this
It does not
movie,
make
and
sense.
It's just like so much going on. It doesn't make sense. But if you go back and you read it, everything starts to line up and everything starts to connect and make sense.
It would just be like, and this is all I'll say, it'd be like you trying to read one chapter of Star Wars and trying to understand the concept of what was going on in Star Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't do it.
Right.
You'd have to read the whole book to realize the
Get
struggle
what's
between
going
Luke and Darth Vader, the struggle of good and evil and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So anyways, big Papa action. Hey, I want to thank you. He says, love you guys. I pray for you and Kim. That's very nice. Thank you. You bring me close to Lord. Oh, that is so nice. Thank you, Big. I love your name too. Isn't that cool? Big Action Papa.
Yeah.
I love that name. What is a cool name? Carl said, hello, Jim and Kim and all the brothers and sisters in Jesus. Bursipi.
Yeah, thank you.
So what is your favorite chapter?
What is your favorite?
Mine is a story about Noah and the Ark. Okay, Bursipi says, what is your favorite chapter? So everybody answer this. So what is your favorite chapter? And yours. And hers is Noah's Ark.
So story. She wants to know
The stories?
favorite story.
What is your favorite? What is it? What is your favorite? What is your favorite chapter?
But then she says her story is Noah and Ark.
I would say this. I think it changes.
It really does.
I mean, I'm really fascinated right now between. See, I think that with COVID,
yeah.
with what's going on right now with COVID, and I don't think that. So right now, I'm really fascinated with the relationship with God and His people and how He interacted
Right.
with them,
Right.
and how upset He was, and how frustrated, and how angry He got with them, and that how He said to an entire generation, "You will not see the promised land because I am so mad at you."
Right.
But He promised it.
Right.
That. And Moses, I mean, it was just rebellious. So I'm really fascinated with that right now, and that's kind of takes place starting with the Exodus with Moses, and it just goes on.
Yeah.
So that's right now my favorite story is the relationship between
Yeah.
man and God and how it develops, and how I feel it has not stopped.
Right.
And that's why I think our COVID, I think that as a generation, we
Yeah.
are just like the Israelites back then,
I know.
and God is done. I mean, maybe not done, but he's really upset with not us. I mean, so I was saying this to my mom that, well, long story. When Moses brought the people over, God promised them that they would see the promised land.
Right.
But they just were stiff-necked obstinate. They kept on they never thanked God. They complained all the time, and they never trusted Him. So He said to this generation, "You will not enter into the promised land."
Right.
Just like that.
Right.
So I mean, I think that that we've and there were good people in that. I mean, there was like almost 500,000 people,
Right.
600,000 people, and I'm thinking, well, among those 600,000 people, there were really good people, I'm sure, that trusted God.
Yeah.
But as a culture and as a generation,
Right.
they were punished.
Right.
So the good and the bad are punished. I think that's what's happening now.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Absolutely.
I kind of have diarrhea of the mouth. Okay, so what's yours?
Thank you.
What's yours?
Well, I'm kind of do the same thing, but right now I'm kind of fascinated with how many, you always hear the big stories about Moses and
Right.
Noah and Daniel, and you hear about all those, but you don't hear a lot about like Ananias or whatever his name was that I was
Ananias?
talking about the other day.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of these little stories that
They're just wild.
are like Dorcas.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know somebody's name is
Dorcas in the Bible.
But I mean, the reason, obviously, it's important, or you wouldn't put it in there.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting, all these little stories that are in there that are teaching you something.
Right.
So I've been doing that more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Soraya. So how do we develop the fruits of the Spirit? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness. I think.
First, you need to know what your fruits of the Spirit are.
Well, I think everybody is given personality traits, and if you really want to know, I mean, you can take online. There's personality tests that tell you whether an introvert, an extrovert, which basically means that you get your energy from being around people, which is an extrovert. An introvert gets energy from being at home,
Quiet
like reading a
time.
book, quiet time, and that tells a lot about you as a person. And then your gift. Like, I'm not a very merciful person, but I think that I don't like to say what my gifts are. I ask Him
Yeah.
what they are.
Right.
But how would you start to use them?
Well,
I guess if you had mercy as a strong point,
right.
you would start to use that by doing things for people
Right.
and meeting them where they're
kind of
at.
have to put yourself out there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you just have to pray about it, have God bring some things to you that would be, but you've also got to try and open those doors. But and then you can practice your spirits.
And I think also I think you have gifts, and I think the closer, like if your gift is teaching, wisdom,
Right.
Whether it's prophecy, speaking in tongues, I think the closer that you become to God,
Yeah.
God knows that you're serious
Right.
and will use you
Give you
more.
more opportunity.
Yeah, because it's like the Bible verse, something like you need to be faithful in the little things before God gives you the big things.
Yeah.
Because He doesn't want you to drop the ball you know,
Right.
and start
In the
something and
middle
not
of
finish
something.
it. Yeah, not finish it. So that's a
Yeah.
good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's true. Do put up your prayers. We will pray for all of you at the end. Um, let's see. Everybody's saying what their favorites are.
So what are they?
Jeremiah, Job.
Jeremiah is a
Steve.
good. Job is a great. I
Oh
mean,
my
Job
gosh,
is.
it's
If
a
you
good
want to
one.
understand how Satan works in
Yeah.
the world, Job is a great book.
Yeah.
I mean, a great. It's long. It gets long
It's really
because
long.
but you know what's interesting is also if you're going to read Job, watch for the dialogue between the friends
Yeah.
and Job and what not to do.
Right.
You know, as a friend who's suffering, because I mean, they had three friends, right?
Yeah.
That just ripped Job
Yeah.
apart.
Yeah.
And they said, you must have sinned to do this. So it helps us to know when a person like is suffering, what not to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. She says Noah.
Noah's a pretty good one.
And Big Action Papa says there's so many.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's
just kinda
true.
depends on what you're doing, yeah.
It kind of depends where you are in life because
Yeah.
maybe you're struggling and so you really identify with Job.
Right. So Cafe Joe wants to know, in a born-again church, do people eat the bread and the wine?
Actually, and that's a communion. And I think any Christian, any Jesus follower, Bible believing should practice communion. In fact, we're taught where it says, do this in remembrance of me. So it's not really a born again. It should be, yeah, I mean, I guess you call it born again church, but absolutely, that should be just like
That's
baptism. I mean, that's like,
yeah.
they should do communion. I know churches that do it well, we did it like every month, didn't we?
We did it, yeah, once
More
a
than once a
month.
month?
But I was going to say, though, that a lot of churches aren't active right now.
Right.
And so if you're even at home online,
Yeah.
you can do it at home.
Yeah.
Because it's a good thing to do. And it does not have to be wine.
No.
We've had a lot of problems with that because some people can't
Some
have
people are
alcohol.
alcoholics,
You
and
don't
I-
need wine. You can
no,
have grape
grape
juice,
juice.
orange juice, peach juice. You know,
In fact, I know a mission, well, not a mission, yeah, a mission group. They didn't have grapefruit or bread because they were in Mexico, so they had Coke and crackers.
well, yeah.
But I think it was more of the remembrance
It's
of it.
just a
It's just
symbol.
a symbolism, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a symbol. So that's a great question.
Story of Jesus and Mary. Mary, great faith. I mean,
Yeah.
you want to have great faith, read about Mary.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, how she just immediately said, okay. I mean, she didn't question it. I mean, it was amazing if you put yourself back in that time.
I know.
Isaiah, Esther is Isaiah and Psalms. Psalms is great.
Do you believe that we are in the last church of Revelation, or which one? It's from Adrian.
Well, Adrian, I think when Jesus spoke to the seven churches, I think if you read that, each church had their own problems.
Right.
And I think that's more of like you could identify like, you know, like being, you know, and I read about it, I studied him, but I think it's more like kind of like if your church is like that. I mean, and you'd have to do and what's really interesting is to do a study on the city.
Right.
So when you're reading those seven churches, I mean, what I've done is I did a study on like Laodicea, whatever it is, you know, and read about the city. It's a bustling city. It's
Right.
really busy. It's like the hub back then. All the ships came in. So you go, okay, this is New York,
Right.
you know, or this
Right.
is whatever. So
It
then
helps
so it helps you identify a lot.
Yeah. It helps a lot to do that.
So I don't think there is one church like that is it. I think the one that applies to us right now is where, and I really feel strongly about this, it's the one Laodicea. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Where Jesus is saying, you're either hot, cold, or lukewarm.
Right.
And I think with this COVID and what's going on with our churches in the U.S., we have too many lukewarm Christians that do not get involved. And I really feel that we are being attacked. Our religion is being attacked, and I think we need to be very bold for what's going on. And now's not the time to be lukewarm.
No.
Right? I
Especially
mean,
right now.
you need to stand up for what's going on. And
Yeah.
you know, just like I mean, you know, everybody, it's just like I said a couple of videos ago, there are places in the world where if you are caught worshiping in your house, they will come and arrest you
Yeah.
and kill you or throw you in jail.
Right.
Now in the U.S., we have freedom to religion, But I'll be honest with you guys. I mean,
looks a
I
little
see that
sketchy.
going away in California. John
Yeah.
MacArthur and his church he's being fined and trying to be put in jail, I believe,
Right.
because he opened up his church. It's happening now.
Yeah.
So if you guys are, I mean, that's what I'm saying. We need to be bold
Yeah.
right now because I don't think it's going to get better. And it depends on the elections.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if the Democrats win, I mean, we're going to see attack on the churches.
It's attacking already.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
happening.
And we do. We need to stand up for our police and our churches and our communities, and I mean, we need to stand up.
We
for
need
each
to,
other.
I mean, it's like, I mean, it just, there's like, I mean, I can't remember how many Christians there are, but do you vote?
Right.
I mean, are you, that sounds so simple, but I mean, really, do you vote?
Yeah.
Because if we all voted, we would make a huge difference in
Huge.
the future. And I won't get into politics, but there's some scary stuff on the future of,
I know.
there's some scary stuff.
Okay, so Essie wants to know: is the Garden of Eden still on Earth, and is the Tree of Life still surrounded by cherubim and flaming swords?
I'm never sure. I
That's a
honestly,
good
I wouldn't
question.
say I don't. I would say I would have to research that.
I think
I
they
think
know
it-
where it was.
They
but
tell you
they-
between the two rivers. So I was just reading that. And they give you the geographical location of it,
Right.
and it's like between this and this.
Right.
But I don't think. I
wouldn't
don't even
think
know if
that
I
the
should
tree
say.
is still there, but maybe if somebody knew to
They were kicked out.
save it.
So
but-
maybe it's something like, it's like the story I'm gonna say today. Maybe through our human eyes we can't see it,
Right.
but through the spiritual world we could see it.
Right.
And through the new heaven and earth, I think that it will come back.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yes, good question. I think too. I was thinking, when the flood came,
Hmm.
oh yeah, that's wiped out. So
Yeah.
probably just the geographic place, and I'm guessing would be there. And let's see, Happy Dog. Didn't Jesus say himself that the bread and wine represents him and not anything else?
Yeah, it meant, so basically you're focusing on, communion is basically focusing on what Jesus did and doing in remembrance of remembering the sacrifice he went through. So the bread equals his body that was broken for you, and the blood or the wine, equals the blood
Right.
that it was spilled for you.
Yeah.
And that's why blood is such a big, and you get into sacrifice in the Old Testament, and you start reading that, and then you read Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice. Things just start to make sense
Yeah,
and start to
they do.
fall into line.
They really do.
Yeah.
Um,
And then the priest.
Priest.
We've said this before. Your purpose on earth, if you go back to Adam and Eve, they had one purpose, was to have a relationship with God.
Yeah.
That was it. That's all he created us for. He just wanted a relationship with you. So
Yeah.
your purpose on earth, if you do nothing else,
Yeah.
is to have a relationship with God.
Yeah.
And if you do that, a lot of other things will fall into
Everything
place.
else will
I mean, if you have a
fall.
relationship with God, repentance is just secondary.
Yeah.
Worshiping is secondary.
Yeah.
I mean, everything just, loving your neighbor falls secondary. Like they say, your first and greatest commandment, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and love your neighbor as God.
Yeah.
And that's it, the two greatest
That's
commandments. So it ain't complicated.
No, it's not. Okay, so tell us your story.
Okay, so, I don't know, have you guys ever heard the story of the talking donkey?
Cute story.
I'm just curious, have you ever heard of it? And like Kim was saying, there are so many interesting stories in the Bible that they're tucked away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
They're
know.
just kind of tucked away. And there's there's the Noahs and the Elijahs and the Moses, and they're big, but this is the story of the talking donkey. The talking donkey. Okay,
Now,
so
put yourself back in this. I mean, these aren't like supernatural people. These are people like you and I. They're
Yeah.
just in a different time.
But
And
they're-
so imagine this.
So to set this up, so Israel was in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 years, not 40 days, 40 years. They were wandering the wilderness because God was just not happy with them and led them to the promised land. I mean, he wanted their trust, he wanted their thanks, he wanted them to be gracious and
Right.
thankful for what they did. So he had them wandering. But the problem is they were growing huge. And so they would go through this wilderness, and other kings and cities would be scared because they were like 500,000 plus people.
Right.
So they got a lot of people. I mean, if, like they said, they have 12 tribes, they choose 1,000 men from the 12 tribes. That's 12,000 men right there. So there was this king that was worried. Then they were coming in, and he knew that he couldn't defeat them.
Right.
So he couldn't defeat them because they were just too big. So he called this guy named Balaam, right? And he called him, and he said, I want you to curse Israel, because basically I can't fight them, I can't defeat them, they're too big. So Balaam went there, he came back, I'm kind of paraphrasing him, and God spoke to him and said, I don't want you to curse my people,
Right.
So the king summoned Balaam back. So Balaam's on his donkey to go back to the king, right?
Right.
So I'll read you part of it. Now, just imagine a talking donkey. But this has a really good lesson, too, that I thought of. So let me see. Let's see. So they're going back on the road.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so let's see. Let me see where I can start. Okay, and the donkey saw the angel. So the donkey could see the angel. Saw the angel of the Lord stand in the road with a sword drawn in his hand. And the donkey turned aside out of the road and went to the field. And Balaam struck the donkey and turned her into the road. So the donkey could see the angel with the sword.
And he's like,
And the donkey is going, I ain't going there, dude. I'm not going there. Look at that. So then the angel of the Lord stood in a narrow path between the vineyards and a wall on the other side. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she pushed against the wall and pressed Balaam's foot against the wall, so he struck her again. So he beat her 2 times now, and the donkey's going, why are you beating me? There's this angel.
Life here, man.
Then the angel of the Lord went ahead and stood in a narrow place. So like you had to go through this, right?
Okay.
There was no way to turn, either right or left. You had to go on this path. There was a narrow thing. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she lay down under Balaam. And Balaam angers was kindled, and he struck the donkey with a staff. Then here's the crazy part, okay? So the Lord opened the mouth of the donkey, and she said to Balaam, now imagine this, a talking donkey, okay? He said, what have I done that you have struck me 3 times? And Balaam said to the donkey, because you have made a fool of me, I wish I had a sword in my hand, for I would kill you. Now, what's funny to me is Balaam doesn't even skip a beat in the Bible. So the donkey speaks to him, and then he doesn't go, oh my gosh, you're talking. Right. He doesn't do it. He just starts talking back to the donkey.
I fall over and
go like, holy cow, you're talking. But he doesn't even do that. It's just so funny. And the donkey said to Balaam, I am not your donkey, which has ridden all the day of his life. Have I ever treated you this way? And he said, no. So then the Lord opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw the angel of the Lord in the way with his sword drawn, and he bowed down and fell his face. And then basically it goes and says, the angel said to Balaam, it's a good thing for your donkey, because I was going to kill you and let the donkey live.
Right.
And just kind of how I was thinking in our lives, we're so focused sometimes on trying to get something done.
Yeah.
And we just want to get something done, and there's resistance.
Right.
From another person or a situation, and a lot of times I believe, and don't you, that that's God.
Oh yeah.
Trying to protect you and trying to tell you, don't do this.
That's not what I want you to do.
Right, because it's dangerous. It's not going to be good for you. This isn't good.
Right. This isn't the next step.
Right, but sometimes I think, and I know myself, I'm so obstinate, like Balaam, I will get up and I'll try to keep on pushing. I will keep on pushing and pushing. Yeah. And then finally, God may just, steps in or let you go through. Now, obviously, you wouldn't be killed, hopefully, by an angel with a flame or sword.
No.
But maybe the situation would be really bad for you, and God was trying to warn you by putting resistance in your life, just like the donkey. So I would kind of look in your, this is for the future maybe, or now, if you're getting resistance, and you're trying to push, right? Don't you think?
Yeah, well, I feel like, I feel like God's going to bless you no matter what you do. I mean, but if you let God take the lead, it's going to be a whole lot better than if you did it by yourself.
Right.
That's what I think.
Right.
So, I mean, you can push and it's not going to be great for you, but I mean, eventually you're going to be blessed. I mean, it's not going to, like, drop you on your butt.
Right. Right.
But, yeah, if he does it, it's so much better.
Right. So just kind of just for the future, or maybe now you're dealing with that. Maybe that message speaks to you now. You know.
Right.
I just see whenever I read a story, and this is what you guys could do too, is I always try to read a story, and if I read a story, I stop.
Right.
And I kind of think about the story, and then I try to think about how it applies to my life.
Yeah.
And like Jesus always talked in parables and things like that had deeper meanings. And sometimes I think, these stories are like, well, the donkey is maybe resistance.
Right.
And God's trying to protect you. So
yeah.
try to get a hold of that. I saw Preetz.
Yeah.
So she's basically, they said, if our purpose here on earth is to have a relationship with Jesus, then I would say 99 have failed. Yes, you're absolutely right. But that's why we have such a loving, merciful God. And I mean, that's kind of like, I don't think that gives you an excuse for not trying.
Right.
Because I think of course you're going to fail. I mean, if we didn't fail, we would be perfect.
Perfect. And we're not perfect.
And we're not perfect. And the way I always look at it is, you always look at God as your father and you're the child.
Right.
He knows better.
Right.
And your children, I mean, you have even the best human relationships, right? I mean, great, the father and the mother and the children. I mean, part of failing is learning.
Yeah.
And testing the waters.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you don't have a great relationship.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, so I always look at human relationships. It's the same as God. We're going to fail.
Right.
But we're his child.
You're
And
gonna
just
have downs.
yeah, so just
times, that
so-
you're angry.
yeah, so I was going to say, just like, you have your children, I mean, you have a great relationship with children. If they fail, you try to point them in the right direction. You try to teach them life. They grow. They get better and better and better. And they fail less, and they get better people. And that's what God is doing to us.
Right, right. I was reading in my devotional this morning, and this is really good.
Devotional.
So, imagine that you die. Let's say you die.
Oh my goodness.
And your kids or your loved one, somebody has to come in and go through all your papers, all your journals, all your credit card receipts. And what would they see? Would they see a life that's a follower of Jesus?
Yeah.
Or would they not see what you're preaching out here, but what are you doing really behind the scenes?
Right.
And it's a really good thing to think about. What are your pictures of? What are your videos, all your DVDs that you have? I mean, what
Avengers!
Do you have? What do you have?
Yeah.
And it really makes you think, am I having a relationship with Jesus?
Yeah.
Am I following through?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think part of having a relationship is just the effort. I mean, if you look at all the great biblical figures, they failed. I mean, they failed.
Yeah.
But some of them, I'm like, David. I mean, my goodness, he committed murder, right, by sending Uriah to the front line. And then he committed adultery with Bathsheba. And he was called a man after God's own heart. I mean, he was labeled a man after, because you know why? He was repentant, and he always desired a relationship with God, and he always sought God. Yeah. And Moses, I mean, he failed. I mean, and in fact, Moses never got to see the promised land.
Right.
I mean, never got to see the promised land because he disobeyed God once.
Yeah.
Because he instead of speaking to the rock with water, he struck the rock twice.
Yeah.
So because of that, he never got to see the promised land. But he was called a man who spoke with God face to face.
Yeah.
I mean, these are fallible creatures.
Yeah.
He was called, the meekest man on the entire planet.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's true, but I think if you go back
and
look at it, most of the big guys, they all failed at one point or another. They had to learn.
But they had a heart that wanted to serve God. They had a heart that was repentant,
Yep.
I made a mistake. I screwed up. Okay, let's get back in line with God. And they
Amen.
really, really, honestly, in their heart, strived to serve God.
Right.
And I think that's almost, I'd say 100% of it.
Yeah.
You're gonna fail. We're all
You're
gonna
gonna
fail.
fail.
We're all gonna sin. We're all gonna fall short. I mean, Romans 3:23. You fall short of the glory. What's that? No, for all have sinned. Never mind. Too many verses in my head.
Very verses in your head. Wow, thank you. That was a good story.
Yeah.
So, it was good to
I think that's.
talk about that.
Is there any more questions we can really
Guys,
quick? Free.
it's very discouraging, but I am still trying to focus on Jesus.
Free again. That's what we said. You are going to fail, and you got to realize right now, guys. It's hard right now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot in our world that's going on. There's a lot, but I think the biggest thing is when you fail, don't get stuck in your failures. Don't let Satan tell you you failed. God can't love you. Don't let the enemy put that into your thoughts.
Yeah.
Repent. Say I made a mistake, and that's
Help me not do it again.
Right.
And God will help you.
Right. And I think that's even with a parent. I think that's a big thing.
Yeah.
When you have a child, if they screwed up and you could see that they were really sorry, they had a repentance heart, they weren't obstinate, they weren't stubborn,
Right.
they go, well, I deserve that anyways because da da da,
Right.
And they said, okay, he's back on track and he's going.
Right.
Yeah.
God blesses that.
So we are all
Sinners.
sinful and we are all going to fail until the time when Jesus comes back.
Yeah.
So, but again, the big thing is just get it back again, get going again. Don't let it stop you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't hit a wall.
I think that's a big thing. A lot of people don't feel like they're forgiven. And they can't get over it.
Yeah.
You felt like that.
Well,
for a while, where you're just not forgiven.
Yeah, you doubt how could God, but if you really doubt whether God can forgive you, just go read the Exodus. I mean, they constantly sinned, and God
He's
said,
so
I'm going to
patient.
destroy you. And Moses said, oh, please don't destroy the people. And God said, okay. I mean, he is so patient.
Yeah.
And that hasn't changed because God's the same as yesterday, today, and forever.
Yes. Thank you.
That's
Okay.
all I got to say about
Would you
that.
like to pray for us?
Yeah, I'll pray for you guys.
Yeah, let's do that.
Be sure to check the notifications
Yeah.
because we will be going on live more and more.
Yeah, as the winter starts to roll
The
in.
winter and the clouds come in. We'll do it.
We don't want them. So, if we don't come in before that, we will be here Monday.
Yeah, well, we'll try and do Mondays until. No, it's supposed to get kind of
9
rainy.
a.m.
Friday, it's supposed to rain.
So we might be here Friday.
Yeah, we might do Friday.
We need your little notification.
Yeah.
Okay.
Drinking my water.
Thank you.
Okay, let's pray. I'll pray for you guys and bless you. Dear Lord, thank you for everyone here. I just, I want to pray. Well, I want to thank you, first of all, that you are just a loving God and that you love us. And that's all there is to it. And we can fail 1,000 times and 1,001 times you would forgive us. And thank you for that love and help people to see, not a mean or a God up there with a magnifying glass just ready to stomp us or burn us like an ant, just waiting for us to fail, but a loving God that is there, and when we do fail, he's there to pick us up and set us back up on our feet and get us going on the right path again. So thank you for that. And like I said, just help people to get to know your true character, Lord, because there's so much more to you than what we read or what we hear or what we hear from our friends, and help everyone to get to know you personally. Lord, I just want to pray, like in the message, like Balaam, if we're finding, well, first of all, Lord, I would ask that if there is something that's unsafe for everybody out there that that they should not be doing, it's not healthy for them, it's not good for them, that you would put resistance in their life. And I pray that all of us would be wise enough and seeking your face enough to see that resistance and to know that you are just trying to protect us from a situation that is not good, and help us not to be obstinate and just push through it and then in return hurting ourselves or hurting others. Lord, I want to pray for everyone here. Please bless them. Please keep them safe. Let your face shine upon them. Give them just a great experience with you today, as we were talking about earlier, just a really neat Jesus experience, that they could just absolutely say, wow, that was absolutely God, and that just felt so cool. Just give them that, so it just gives them hyped up and wanting more. We love you, and we ask all these things in your name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Woo!
Thank you. Okay.
All right, guys and
have
girls.
a really safe week.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll see you real soon.
Yes.
And if not, we'll see you on Monday for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Be safe.
Be good.
Bye.
Bye.